Welcome, focused learners, to today's Explainer. Think of this session strictly as a chapter in a highly classified technical instruction manual. We're skipping the introductory stuff completely and zeroing right in on the mechanics of one specific, incredibly advanced operational state developed by the Monroe Institute. We're talking about Focus 21. Now, if you've been working your way through the gateway process or, studying remote viewing methodologies, you already know the territory. Today, we're popping the hood. We're going to understand exactly how to operate within this state utilizing the very tools and protocols designed to stretch human consciousness to its absolute limits. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our table of contents for today's briefing on the mechanics of Focus 21. We'll kick things off with a chapter overview of the bridge. Then, we'll look at the technical parameters and signatures, followed by a guide on navigating out-of-body operations. After that, we are jumping into advanced multi-temporal targeting, and finally, we'll wrap up with protocol and integration guidelines to make sure your sessions are both safe and effective.
All right, Section 1, Chapter Overview, the Bridge. Before we even think about engaging in tactical operations, we absolutely have to establish exactly what state of consciousness we're accessing here.
So, according to the Monroe Institute's taxonomy, Focus 21 is formally defined as the bridge to other realities. This state is positioned on the literal, absolute edge of perception of the time-space continuum. But what is absolutely crucial for you as the operator to understand right now is that despite being on the very border of these non-physical states of being, your mind, it remains fully conscious and completely active. You are not comatose. You are definitely not asleep. You are highly, highly alert, stationed right at the very threshold of physical detachment.
And this quote really hits the nail on the head. Right from the Monroe Institute's Advanced Guidelines retreat, Focus 21 is described as that elusive state between the physical and non-physical. Focus 21 is also the state where out-of-body experiences can occur. So just to be clear, this isn't just some deep relaxation or a casual Sunday daydream. No, this elusive state is the specific targeted operational environment that you need for active, conscious, out-of-body exploration.
Moving right along to Section 2, Technical Parameters and Signatures. To operate successfully in Focus 21, we really need to review the specific markers that make crossing the bridge possible in the first place.
Let's look at the specs. The target designation for Focus 21 is literally the border between time-space and non-physical states. Now, the critical neurophysiological marker you need to actually achieve this is high-phase coherence. The Monroe methodology relies heavily on audio induction, specifically those phase-separated binaural carrier frequencies to entrain the brain. Basically, by presenting slightly different audio frequencies to each ear, your brain steps in, tries to reconcile the differences, and generates a binaural beat effect. This guides your brainwave activity right into that highly coherent state. And once you get that biological marker locked in, the primary utility of Focus 21 is unlocked: multi-dimensional target acquisition.
To truly wrap your head around what it means to cross this bridge, we have to contrast your standard physical space-time perception with Focus 21 perception. In normal waking consciousness, your brain is just processing physical sensory input, right? Sight, sound, touch, all largely driven by those dominant beta brainwaves. But in Focus 21, the phasing model suggests your consciousness functions a lot like a radio dial. You haven't actually left your physical vehicle, but your internal resonance has functionally shifted to a completely different frequency. You're literally tuning out physical sensory signals and tuning into dimensional frequencies that are way beyond normal space and time constraints.
All right, Section 3, Navigating Out-of-Body Operations. Now that we have the technical parameters dialed in, let's look at the practical deployment of Focus 21 out in the field.
The operational capabilities you unlock in Focus 21 go far, far beyond basic meditation. Practitioners are utilizing this state for advanced, multidimensional target acquisition, intentionally initiating out-of-body operations, and literally escaping the physical time-space continuum. You are essentially transforming your own awareness into an informational probe that can stretch right across the boundaries of reality.
But understanding the mechanics of how that detachment works is absolutely crucial. As the source material points out-of-body experiences occur as awareness detaches from direct connection to material levels of consciousness. So, being out of body basically just means there's a profound shift in your mind-consciousness field energy. You aren't necessarily physically flying through the air. Rather, your consciousness experience has shifted its focus so significantly that the material world is just no longer your primary point of reference.
Okay, Section 4, Advanced Multitemporal Targeting.
We are now looking at the most advanced tactical application of Focus 21 used in coordinated intelligence protocols.
When you're conducting actual operational intelligence gathering, one of your biggest enemies is analytical overlay. That's when a remote viewer's left brain tries way too hard to make sense of raw sensory data, and it ends up fabricating a completely false narrative. To mitigate that personal bias and get rid of terrestrial data distortion, declassified protocols outline what's called the 3-individual multi-focus approach. By using multiple viewers, all locked onto the exact same target from entirely different angles of consciousness, intelligence teams can filter out the noise and capture clean, reliable data.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how highly structured the coordination of these specific temporal states actually is. Viewer 1 observes the target in its current physical time-space coordinates, usually from a baseline or maybe a focus 12 state. Viewer 2 drops down into focus 15, which is the state of no time, to view the target as it slips into the immediate, unalterable past. But Viewer 3 utilizes focus 21. Stationed on the absolute edge of the continuum, Viewer 3 is pulling data from an event that hasn't even fully crystallized in physical reality yet. They are acquiring data straight from the probable future.
After the viewing session wraps up, the final step in this methodology is a post-session debriefing led by a project officer. This officer takes all the data points gathered by all 3 temporal viewers and compares them side by side. By actively compiling the Focus 15 past data, the physical present data, and the Focus 21 probable future data, they synthesize a highly coherent, multi-temporal target profile. It is just a brilliantly structured, team-based approach to remote data acquisition.
Section 5. Protocol and Integration Guidelines. Look, navigating deep states like Focus 21 induces some powerful neurophysiological and psychological changes, so strict adherence to safety and equipment protocols is completely mandatory for anyone trying to access these states at home. I want to vigorously run through these critical technical recommendations straight from the manual because they are vital. First up, you must utilize high-quality over-ear wired stereo headphones. The precise delivery of those phase-separated binaural carrier frequencies is exactly what creates the necessary phase coherence in your brain. You just cannot achieve this properly without the right equipment. Second, always enforce strict double-blind conditions for your targets. This prevents cognitive scripting or telepathic leakage. Third, and this is huge, transcribe your raw data immediately. Literally the second you exit the state, sketch and write down colors, shapes, textures, before your analytical left brain starts jumping in and fabricating logical but totally incorrect interpretations. And finally, avoid all sessions during high geomagnetic disturbances or periods of really high psychological stress. Precision tools and immediate transcription, that is the absolute baseline for accurate Focus 21 operations.
So we've covered the technical parameters, the operational mechanics, and the strict safety guidelines you need to successfully cross the bridge. Which brings me to my concluding thought and my challenge to you. How will you utilize the high phase coherence of Focus 21 to navigate the probable future of your own targets? Whether you're doing this for advanced remote viewing, out-of-body operations, or just completely expanding the horizons of your own consciousness, this instruction manual just gave you the blueprint. Now it's totally up to you to test the limits of your own perception.